put my kids to bed, so I'm a little bit frazzled. Okay. I am so excited about this because this moment right here is the moment that I realized, okay, everything is about to change in my Plexus business. I can remember as a senior gold ambassador, watching Tara Castaneda's videos and just drinking it all in, wanting to know, okay, this is where I am, this is where I want to go, but how do I get there? And so tonight we're going to talk in my segment a lot about the how. First thing that I want you guys, and I want you to write these points down. Number one, I say this to my team all the time. You have to think like a silver and work like a diamond. Now, what does that mean? That sounds really fancy. What does that mean? It means we have got to make things simple but action-oriented. A lot of times what happens is we get lucky, we get a business builder who's like, hey, I want to share my products. They make their first post. They don't even ask you to look it over. Boom, they've recruited someone. Before they know it, they've gone silver. Then you get someone who's like, hey, I want to get my products paid for, and they do nothing. And then you do nothing. And this is where the process begins to break down because we expect everyone to be like us, right? You went all in with this business because you got excited. So of course, why wouldn't somebody else? 75% of the people that you're going to coach need you to make this simple for them. They have the want, but they need you to give them the how. So that's where we've got to really think like a silver. I know for our team, what we do is we've got a list of frequently asked questions, and we have our brand new Silvers focus on just that. And silver is the name of the game for you guys to reach Ruby. It's all about switching gears from me to how can I empower a lot of people to do a little bit of work to help me reach my goals. That was the biggest takeaway that I had from Tara Castaneda's training was that, okay, this business is no longer about me personally recruiting. It's about me empowering other people to come alongside of me. So think like a silver, but work like a diamond. You've got to keep things simple for people. I like to encourage my team, if it can't fit on a sheet of paper, then you're giving them too much information. And what do we know about people when they feel overwhelmed? They don't get into action. And that's what we want for people to help them duplicate silver. We don't want them to be professional learners. We want to give them small action steps. So that brings me to my second point. If you want to go from senior gold to Ruby and you know that it's going to be all about leadership and it starts with those silvers, that means we have to model what we want duplicated. A lot of times what I will see happen is leaders will set people loose to go and duplicate a silver when they've never done that before. The best thing that we can do is sit right beside them. It's not micromanagement when you're helping them do it for the first time. It is when we're jumping in every time to help them. I don't know, but anyways, I think we got them. It's not micromanagement to sit next to someone for the first time they're helping to duplicate a silver, where we have to watch ourselves as if we begin to duplicate that constantly. We want our leaders to know that we trust them. We want to know that we've done a good job of giving them something simple that they can continue to pass along to the next person. But we can't skip this step of modeling. So for all my people, when they're developing a silver for the first time, we do it together. That way they can see the kinds of questions that I ask, the kind of action steps that I have them take. It's really about making sure that we don't assume that people know how to do something just because we know how to do it. So one thing that I use a lot with people is this concept of limited autonomy. It's a really, really popular concept in early childhood education. And we just worked on this with someone today. I've got someone on my team who has great influence, great potential. I'm modeling with their upline who's my level 1. And one of the things that we were talking about is we've got to get this person into action, but we need it to still be on their terms. We never want people to feel like we're the boss and you do what we say. So one of the things that we said to this person was, hey, we want to help you follow up with some of the people that you've got who have been really interested. What do you think of this message? Would you be willing to send it, or do you want to edit it to make it sound a little bit more like you? Or if you're more comfortable, we could put them in a 3-way message with us and we could do it. So it's a foregone conclusion that they're going to follow up with this person. We're not asking them, hey, do you want to follow up? We're saying, how do you want to follow up? That's really different language when you're coaching people. The same with my children. If it's cold outside, I don't say, do you want to wear a coat? I say, do you want to wear the red one or the yellow one? They're empowered to make a decision, but I've already made part of the decision for them to get them into action. And this is the last point that I want to talk about, and I'm just going to barely skim over it because I know Julia is going to take it away. But when we're getting into this mindset of, okay, think like a silver, work like a diamond, we're going to model it for our people, which is very, very simple, but we're going to show them the how, which is the action part of leading like a diamond, working like a diamond. The most important thing in this is you have to put on your mask before you assist other people. If you're not personally working your business, and that's point number 3, put on your mask before assisting other people. If you are not working your own personal business, if you are not innovating, if you are not training yourself, what do you think you're going to have to give to other people? So it's important for us to be people that are training ourselves, that are trying new things, that are getting into action, because that's how we're able to say to someone, hey, I just used this message and it really worked, or I decided to start posting like this and I'm seeing a lot more engagement from it. We have to remember that the speed of the leader is the speed of the team. So if we're not going to do the scary things, they're not going to do the scary things. If we're only going to allow ourselves to be developed about this much, then all of our people are going to stay right under that leadership lid, as John Maxwell explains. So I hope that helps you guys. It's a lot about keeping things simple and making sure that we're not just, great cheerleaders for our team, and we're not micromanagers either, but that we're a support system of people who are teaching them in really simple ways how to get into action.
Thank you, Ashley. Very much. Sorry, another call is having trouble getting on a Zoom call, so I was kind of managing that at the time. I was going to just tell you a little bit about myself. Ashley, you never really introduce yourself. Can you just introduce yourself, tell who you are and where you're from, just because I know there's several people that might not know you.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Ashley Kintzel. I'm a Sapphire Ambassador. I'm from Arvada, Colorado. I have 4 very young children. I had 4 kids in 5 years. So I started my Plexus business when my youngest was 12 weeks old. So there's never an excuse to jump in, right? And I was not looking for the business. I ignored my sponsor 4 different times. I felt like this industry was really the antithesis of my role as a pastor's wife to my husband. But I really have found that when network marketing is done correctly, it's a very noble industry, and it requires you to be a humble servant leader to get the best out of people and to get the best for your team. So I'm pretty crazy about it now.
Thank you, Ashley. I am Julia Cartee. I am a Diamond Ambassador here in Mobile, Alabama. I was actually living in Dallas when I heard about Plexus. Just like Ashley, my oldest was 4 when my 4th was born. She turned 5 like the next week, so pretty much 4 under 5, and we just adopted 4 months ago a baby boy. So we now have 5 children. So I'm now experiencing Plexus with a newborn. So I kind of did it backwards. Most people join Plexus with a newborn, and I think the Lord knew I didn't need that. But I did homeschool all the way up to Diamond, 4 children. So I've kind of experienced every stage, I feel like, of motherhood now with preteens even, which sometimes I think is harder than toddlers. But I'm just going to give you some little facts before, and then let Becky take over, and then I'll come back with my tips. But just for you to know, I'm going to share my screen real quick because I am a visual learner, and I love this graphic. I came across it in Ruby. You are working towards Ruby, and most of you, if you're seasoned, you know this, but I know if you're like me, you didn't really know the comp plan probably till Senior Gold. I didn't. But at Ruby, to rank up, you need 500 pay points for your organization. 100 of those pay points had to be outside of your primary leg. And if you don't really understand that, you can talk to your upline. But you need 500 points, and that's a potential of $2,000, a one-time achievement for $500. And if you have 500 points, with $3 a point, that's typically about $1,500. Now, the average pay of a Ruby Ambassador is over $35,000 a year. Now, when I first started Plexus, or even now, that is a lot. That's more than I made my first year teaching, $35,000 a year. So that's about what my husband made as a youth pastor. So that is a big chunk. Less than 0.21% of Plexus is at Ruby rank. So that's a very small. So y'all should be proud of yourself. You should pat yourself on the back that you are on this call, guys. You are a small percentage of this company that is sharing these products, that's building a business. And I always say from silver to gold is the hardest rank to get to. If you can go gold, you can go diamond. Y'all are at senior gold. You can do this. But there's so much potential. There's so much financial potential here where you are tonight, and we're just excited to share just our few tips of how we think you can get to that next step. So Becky, why don't you introduce yourself, and then we'll come back to me so you don't have to listen to me talk too much at one point.
Hey guys, this is Becky Page. I'm a Diamond Ambassador. Hey, if you can, I want you to, for those of you guys who have your screen turned off, turn your face on. I don't care if you look like heck tonight. If you've got your nasty bun up. I know that I did my hair specifically for this call, but I didn't expect that out of y'all, because I'm going to feed off your energy when I can see your, look at, there's Heather Tobacco. I didn't even see you on before. And I see so many fun people. I see you, Angie, Vicky, Erin, Ash, Sherelle. Okay. So, and I know a lot of you guys, Joy Bragan, where'd you go? I saw you earlier. I know so many of y'all also on Julia's team. And I will feed off your faces. Hi. Welcome to this Monday night call. A lot of what I was going to say really piggybacks on the truths that Ashley poured out a few minutes ago. And what I want to start with tonight is that at Ruby, and I want to acknowledge that we've got senior golds on this call. Some of you guys have held, some of you guys have slipped back. Welcome to the club, friends. You're not alone. And so if you're not currently holding senior gold, I want to speak into a little bit of what's going to push you through senior gold towards Ruby as well, because I'm aware that we've got some folks on the call. Again, you're amongst friends. Okay, so part of what's happening at Ruby, like Julia just shared, is you're making an income that's really having an impact on your family. Ruby is a lot of the time that we see people who've had a skeptical spouse or an unsupportive family. Those family members start to wake up and go, okay, this is legit. Like, this is a legit income. I'm going to give credence to this now. So this is why Ruby is so important. It's a make or break time in Plexus, because I'm telling you, once you are solidly at Ruby, you can like smell the surf in Maui. You can feel the leather in the car. It's coming for you, okay? But what is so crucial at Ruby is the culture of your team. If you've been a part of Julia's team for very long, you've heard her train on culture. And what I want to tell you is there's some things that are going to stand in the way of you creating culture. They're going to try to trip you up. So let's be aware of them tonight so that when you face them, you'll go, we've talked about this. One of the things I want you to know is that as Ashley was talking about the importance of duplicating leaders, you are going to feel the stress of that. So if you haven't felt stressed out with Plexus yet, you're not in the norm. It can be stressful to get someone to silver when you're dealing with enrollment issues, or if you've got a customer order that got stuck. But I'm telling you, when your team gets into the momentum that it has as it heads towards Ruby, you are going to feel the stress. Now, remember, excitement and stress feel really similar to the body. When your heart's pounding and your brain is constantly running, and maybe you wake up in the middle of the night thinking about what you got to do. So beware of how you might react to that, because I know that for me, there have been times where I've been like, this is so stressful. But what it actually is it's exciting. And I'm letting my inner voice get in the way and say, you can't do this. This is difficult. This is too hard. So you've got to be ready to harness the positive spin on your body's reaction to the stress of the growth at Ruby. It's crucial at this point that for all your top leaders that you personally are connected to their why. You know why they're doing this. You know what benefit it's going to have for their family. You know how their family feels about it. You know their personality. You know what's going to stand in their way, and you also know what's going to help them succeed. At this point, it's so crucial that you connect through community. And what I mean by that is that if you are a solo leader with just however many level 1 wholesalers, this is going to be the make or break time. You have to have a running buddy under you. Okay. And even if you don't see that person yet, I want you to choose people that you're going to speak that into them. you can go gold. You can go senior gold. I'm going to help you get there. I'm going to coach you through this. I've walked this road. We're going to get you there too. They might not see the potential yet, which is why community is so important, because when people are connected to their community on your team, they will stick around. And even if they don't see themselves as a network marketing leader, if you build community and it starts to generate action, people will follow. They will. How many times have you guys been on a thread with someone and they're pushing for a rank? And even if you think, I don't really want that yet, you feel pulled along with just the inertia of the group. That's what you want at this point. Last year, and there's some people on this call that are part of this thread, but last year I started a thread of a ton of sidelines. They're all under me. They were mostly all sidelines to each other, and we pulled them into a community, and we did once a month prayer time and talking through goals. It wasn't we didn't do, I think we did a book at one point. I can't even remember what it was, but really all it was praying for each other and helping encourage each other with their goals. And people would come in and out based on the seasons of their life, but that group is still together. And they would tell you, y'all, that those of y'all that are on this thread, just nod if you're with me, like that community keeps them going. So when someone says, hey, pray for me today, I'm talking to this potential, not only do they know they've got 10 other people praying for them, but they also, those other people know, I better get someone on the phone today, or I better be reaching out today because so-and-so is pushing. So it creates the inertia of the community going, everyone's moving forward, I better start moving forward too. And that will get your people rolling. If you can stride into the hard stuff at Ruby, like if you can go, this is going to be hard, I'm going to have some late nights, I'm going to spend some time on the phone with customer service, I'm going to plan things for my team where people may or may not show up. If you can stride through this season of going Ruby, please know there will be a payoff, because when you have momentum at Ruby, you are headed towards senior Ruby. I promise. It's just a matter of helping those leaders grow. Okay, so I'm going to talk just briefly, trying to watch my time, Julia, about something that if you've heard me train recently, you've heard me say this. It's called hug the cactus. And here's what I mean by hug the cactus. You need to know your pitfalls. If you don't know that inner voice, sometimes we call it mindset, but if you don't know the negative thought patterns that are coming for you, that are already occurring, even right now as we're on this call, you've got these thought patterns kicking in about this conversation here. If you don't know what that negative voice is telling you, then you're just going to roll along with it. You're not even going to pay attention. You cannot grow. The truth is that if you will get aware of, and if you will embrace your weaknesses, your thought patterns that are there kind of in your subconscious for the most part, that are all the excuses you have, all the reasons why you can't do this, all the things that you think you're failing at, if you will write those down and get very clear on what they are. I call them the ruts in your road, the thought patterns that your brain just automatically jumps into. If you will write them down, share them with someone, whether it's your upline or an accountability partner of some sort, and practice prayerfulness, but not only that awareness of prayerfulness, but really combating them with truth, writing down a thought that directly opposes the lie, that's full of truth, that's going to be what brings you through this hard season. And real leaders know what their struggles are. So let me tell you two of mine that have been very powerful over the past 5 years. One is the thought, this is too hard. This is too hard. Whether it shows up like, this is too hard, I didn't really want to be on my phone the whole time we were driving to Texas on my spring break. Or this is too hard, I already have a job. This is so difficult for me to try to sign up 6 people this month. I really never wanted to do this. You see how that plays out? I let those negative thoughts start rolling and they disable me before I even get started. But if I'm aware that my brain's going to say this is too hard, and like I've shared it with my husband and I've shared it with my upline and some of my sidelines, then when it comes up, I go, oh, that's just one of my isms. Like that's my negative thought pattern that I fall into all the time. And then I do the opposite, because that's the key. I go, it's not too hard. I'm going to hop on this Ruby call tonight. It's important. I've got team members getting on. So I'm going to make this happen. It's not too hard. We can do hard things. Another one that's been powerful for me to embrace is the idea of I'm going to fail. How many of you guys have felt like failures in Plexus? 9. Yes, I see those hands. High five, sisters. Okay, yes, you're going to feel like a failure. Feeling like a failure and being a failure are two totally different things, by the way. If you are a senior gold on this call, I promise you are not a failure. But if you're not aware that that thought is present for you, you won't go to battle against it. And that's huge. Julia knows that Julia is my action girl and I'm the mindset girl. So this is crucial as far as your action goes. You got to write it down, get aware of the negative mindset, and then write down an opposing truth, and that's going to be what you're clinging to. Okay, last really quick thing. Ashley talked about lifting your lid, and we're on the same wavelength tonight. So I want to ask you guys directly, what is something that one of your uplines does that you don't currently do? I really want you to think about that. I remember for me, when I was pushing towards Emerald, and Andrea Mitchell is my direct upline, and she was hosting Zoom calls, and I didn't even, I didn't host Zoom calls. That was something she did. And I even thought about it as, well, that's something Andrea does. I'm not quite there yet. And I remember realizing, where do I think I'm going if I'm not doing something that my upline regularly does? But I want to get where she's at. So I want you guys to be identifying for yourselves. Part of raising your lid is going, I'm going to embrace something that feels currently uncomfortable for me. It feels like something I don't need to do because my upline does it. I want you guys to get clear on just one thing tonight that you need to be doing that you're not currently doing that's going to lift your lid. A specific action. Even better if you will share it in the comments. Okay, Jules, I'm going to lob it back to you.
Thank you. Okay, guys, I just want to say I have like a whole page of notes, and I'm going to have to go listen to a snippet of Ashley's that I missed because I was dealing with team stuff because somehow I orchestrated this. I just want to say this. I am actually senior gold on my second position, and I know some people roll your eyes because you're like, gosh, I rolled my eyes at second positions before I started doing it because, well, you've already reached diamond. But I'll say, to me, it's been the best thing for my leadership because I'm having to do it again, and I'm doing it in the season that you're in too. And I'll tell you, it's a lot harder this second go around, and a lot of things that Ashley and Becky spoke about, and just raise my lid. I mean, objections. It's everything. And I just want to say I'm in the trenches with you, and I'm not doing a really good job. So part of the things I've had to come at, like, how do I tell these people to get Ruby when I don't even feel equipped to get Ruby myself? But the main thing I want to touch on tonight, since they talked a lot about leadership, is leadership. And I love this quote. I found it. I have no idea who Albert Schweitzer is. Maybe you do. Maybe you do, Becky. But he does say the 3 most important ways to lead people are by example, by example, by example. Those are the 3. And I completely agree with that. And I'm confessing to you that I have not always done a great job of this, especially because when you become a leader, and some of you are strong leaders. I see some faces that I'm like, oh, they're great leaders. And maybe even other areas of life. But and some of you, I don't know where you're at, but it's easy when you hit this time in your business to become management mode. And even though it is very important for the leadership and to train your team and to duplicate gets, I tell people the hardest part of my position is balancing the 2, managing my team and paying myself first. We hear it called several different things. I wrote down like paying yourself first. You set the pace for your team. I've used the phrase several times with my team. Your team will be a diluted version of you, and that's true. And this is very basic, and I love how Ashley talked about just thinking like a silver. I wrote that down. I've never thought of it that way. You have to think like a silver and work like a diamond. I love that, Ashley, because that's really what this is about. But just simple action steps that I have found the past 6 months that I kind of let slide, and I noticed it on my team, especially my new recruits, is posting. Are you posting consistently? Are you posting smart and organically and genuine? Because guess what? When I'm posting, as a diamond or a senior gold to those people, genuine, and I'm writing out my posts, and I'm not just copying and pasting everything I see that I like, which I still do sometimes, but I notice that my team is doing the same thing, guys. They are watching you. And guess what? Most new people do not know the difference between a senior gold and an emerald. They don't. Do you know how many times I've been asked if Joy Bragan is going to Hawaii with me? And I'm like, she is one day. But people don't, outsiders don't know the difference. New members don't know the difference. I didn't know the difference for a long time. So act like you're diamond. Post consistently. Reaching out. Do you know how hard it is for me to lead a power hour and give people scripts if I haven't really reached out to people and have actual scripts that I've used? It's really hard. So same thing with you. If you're going to lead your team, if you want them to add, you have to add. People are watching that team page. They're waiting to see, are you going to win that iPad? Are you going to win it? You have to make it your goal so that your team sees you, okay, she's did it, so now I've got to do it. You want to be, it goes back because I just love the saying, your team is going to be the diluted version of you every single time. And another old saying I feel like we've kind of gone through the years saying is, the people you need to go senior ruby, to go emerald, are not on your team yet. And it's so true. The people that got me to emerald did not get me to sapphire. And the people I had at sapphire, I had to keep on recruiting, and I'll never, one of the first probably analogies I remember hearing when I first started. Ashley listened to Tara Castaneda. I listened to anything I could get my hands on. And I remember Celeste Quinn saying it was like a running bathtub with the drain open. And I didn't really understand it. And even at Senior Gold, I didn't understand it. I understand it now. And I even understand it with my Senior Gold position is people are coming in, but they're going to be going out, and you have to be refilling that tub. So just remember, you set the pace for your team, and to balance that management and balance that personal recruiting, just the same. And I always say, just keep it simple. Silver every month. Make it your goal still. Try to recruit 3 new customers, 3 new ambassadors every month, and I promise you, you will steadily grow. And this isn't a sprint. It is a marathon. And I tell people all the time, I'd rather have somebody that can gradually recruit and duplicate, get them silver, than somebody that can go recruit 20 people a month. I want someone that's going to recruit smart, train smart, and just gradually grow. Longer, it lasts longer. So that's really all I had tonight. Becky, do you think we have some time for Q&A?
Yeah, I think in fact, I think we're seeing some Q&A come up in the chat section. So if you guys want to ask your questions there. Ashley, I just saw someone ask you if you have an FAQs that you use to train and help your new people.
Yes, I was going to post it in the chat box, but it's a little too long. And the other thing is that it references training units that we have on our page. Now, if you are not using these, let me just tell you right now, you are spinning your wheels. There are learning units that you have access to on any page that you manage. All you have to do is go into the group settings if you're the admin and add them. And what I found is, going to Emerald was very organic. Going to Sapphire was very difficult. And part of the reason was because I had made my team rely completely on me. And that is one of the worst mistakes you can make. If your system is completely dependent on you, then you don't have residual income, you don't have time freedom, and you haven't empowered your people to take solid information and make it their own. So what I'll do is I'll share this on Jewel Heist. I think that probably, if you don't mind, Julia, since it's so long. And if you guys have any questions about what's in those units, I'd be happy to show you what I include in mine. But we basically have, for our silvers, 5 units. We have the Send, Share, Invite unit. We have a unit with Emily Gibson and Brooke Hemingway's 5 simple steps to silver. We have a unit with 30 days of posting ideas where we literally give them the material to post. And then we have another one that has 30 days of ideas that they can make their own. Like, hey, take a picture with your pink drink, or talk about how you have the energy to do your laundry today because of your balanced blood sugar, things like that. And so the FAQs that we give them all point to our unit section. So we really do like an add tag message thing. This is another thing that I want to stress to you because hey, Tina, if you don't have it as an option, you might have to change what kind of group that you have. If you change it to a learning group or like a social learning group or training, it will give you those options about in the middle section of your group. But the other thing is the way that groups function has changed. And I think this is a great benefit to us in network marketing. Gone are the days where you can just add someone to a page and boom, they're stuck there. You have to be very intentional about how you add people to a page now, or you might notice your page numbers compressing. The best thing you can do is copy the link to whatever page you're trying to add someone to, give it to them, say, hey, add yourself to this. I'm going to approve it as soon as you do. And then I'm going to welcome you to our group and tag you in a really important message. That is a really effective way to make sure that the people you're wanting as potentials or customers or ambassadors are actually getting added to groups, and you're able to have that accountability of tagging them in something meaningful, like a post about how to take your products or a post about detox, something like that.
I love that, Ashley, and I'm going to make a special request for you to do a short video about that, because I feel like that's something that would be helpful to even share on lots of team pages. Yeah, I literally have notes to myself right here.
I would love to. It has saved my life.
I love what Ashley said about, and this is so good, guys, because obviously, like, network marketing is such a great place for those of us with big egos, because we come storming in like, I have so much to offer. And I'm telling you that as you start to grow your team, this idea that I have so much to offer and everything has to flow through me and I have to control it all and you all need me is going to ruin you or burn you out really quickly, one or the other. So learning to pass stuff along and train your people to do it without you, get their business lunches that you don't run, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's so crucial at this point. And some of you guys haven't experienced that yet, but I'm telling you, find people who will do it without you. It will bless your life. Okay, other questions? If you've got a question, you can either type it in the chat or you can unmute yourself, ask your question, and then remute. Oh, not all at once, guys. Anybody have a question?
I have one for Ashley. When she said that she runs Silver side by side with them, what does that look like? I mean, I obviously don't need like a full play-by-play, but just kind of an abbreviated idea of what that looks like.
So Lindsay and Julia put something awesome in Jewel Heist. It's that picture of, basically like 7 things that you must do in your Plexus business, and they're all action steps. So that's what it is. It's going like getting in a 3-way message and saying to someone, hey, let's make your list of 100 people. When do you have some time where you can sit down and do that? And then holding them accountable to that. Well, I could do it this afternoon. Great. We're going to check back in with you tomorrow and see if you were able to finish doing that so we can get started on the next thing. And that kind of mentality, it's the same thing that we're doing when we're trying to close the deal with people. We're always setting up the next exposure. So that's what we want to do with our new Silver, is not just, hey, how's it going? Did you message your people? Like not yes or no stuff, but like, hey, I saw you made this post. It was really awesome. And I saw that you had a lot of people that liked and commented. I would write their names down. That's your warm market. And a great strategy would be to just message them today. Do you think that, you could message 10 people? Does that sound like a reasonable goal for today? Giving them ideas, because I truly believe that people want to do the work. They're just sitting there going, what do I do? I can remember when I first started, because I tend to be very red and green in the traditional network marketing personality. So I was very bold with people, but I would literally give them this much information, like, and then you can order retail, and then you could do preferred, and then, you know what I mean? And if we're not in those conversations with people, or if we're not asking, like, so tell me a little bit about how you're explaining the products to people. I'd love to hear what that sounds like. I say to people a lot, tell me more about that. And it gets my people kind of talking through their fears and through what action steps they are or aren't taking. But one thing that I've noticed is that a lot of my leaders are scared to give honest criticism to people that they're working with on Silver. So what I do is when I'm working with a new Silver, I click on Facebook, follow first. That way I see all of their content. And so like I saw a new Silver today who screenshot a picture instead of saving it and uploading it. So it had like that nice black, frame around it. So I immediately messaged her. I'm like, hey, next time this is what I would do. It's going to look a lot cleaner, a lot more professional. I think sometimes we're afraid to do that because we're almost like, oh, I got one. I don't want to scare them away. But they find value in us seeing them and taking an interest in them and showing that, we care enough about them to help them get to that next step. So it's just a lot of just little things like that. And the one thing that I would say is it is crucial in the first 30 days. And I know a lot of people are going to go, what? Because I know everybody's timeline is not the same. But I really, really believe we have to be in communication with our potential Silvers every day for the first 30 days. And we have to get them somebody in those first 30 days. Even if we don't get them Silver, we have to get them someone in their first 30 days because their belief is just like this little cup of ash in our hands waiting to be blown away if we don't help them see that, they can do this.
I love that. Really quickly, gonna go back to some of y'all are asking. Yes, I'll get information from Julia's page is called Jewel Heist, by the way, if you hear them referencing that. Okay, I just saw a question from Vivian. So Vivian's saying her team just wants to use the product. She's only got one business builder. They don't want to participate in training. Any tip how to change that? I wrote down, when Julia said this, it kind of hit me. This is so true, and it's put to words what I've tried to say often. And that is that your team is a diluted version of you. So I say it too, like you'll duplicate stuff down that you don't even realize you're duplicating down. So if you've got a team of of wholesalers, what are you doing that they're seeing that shows them that wholesaler is not the maximized version of Plexus? People who are maximizing their Plexus membership are doing enough to get their products covered at the very least. But if your team doesn't see you talking about that, if you're not pursuing them and letting them know that, and sometimes that's almost like a muscle that we've forgotten how to use. It's like an exercise that we haven't done in a while. You've got to bring that information to them. You are the connector. Erin Bibb is my level 2 on this call. She's like, hey, what's Becky going to say about me? But she was a watchful wholesaler for a year. The reason she was a watchful wholesaler is that we hadn't invited her to become a business builder. Your wholesalers need the invitation to come from you. Hey, come do this with me. Come to this meeting with me. And they want to see you being consistent. I can't tell you enough, even as a diamond, whenever I have an ounce of inconsistency, it spreads through my first 3 levels. I see it literally in my virtual office. And Julia's nodding her head. She knows what I'm talking about too. So that's one thought. I wanted to also get an answer. Let's see. Danielle Albert had a question, and this is a good question too. She said, I just had a newbie at 18 and 18 days. She doesn't have a vision for the business. So you've got a unicorn. She's a major yellow. Any tips on how to lead someone that feels slimy when I mention her business, to the point that Bethany and I found out she's telling people to turn off their subs? Okay, so this was kind of me. Let me just speak really quickly into this and then give Julia and Ashley a chance to as well. Someone who can add 18 people in 18 days is a natural, and it means that they have influence. She might not be comfortable with the kind of influence she has. So connecting her to videos of helpers and other yellows and people who maybe felt uncomfortable with the influence that they did have, that'll be important. But also, I would get her to process, what is going on that this feels slimy? What are you uncomfortable with? Because she's kind of setting herself up for failure. So is she uncomfortable with making money? Is she uncomfortable with like wielding this influence? And honestly, what's not fair is that all 18 of those people that she signed, she's assuming that they don't need this. And that's where she's cutting people short. She's cutting them off at the knees. So getting her to understand that she is able to bless people with this business is really important. And just be patient. I would say this person probably is feeling pressured. So being patient with them, and I would do some serious tap rooting. I would be building relationships with all 18 of those new people. I would want to be finding out their why, finding out how much income a month would be beneficial to them. I'd be doing phone calls with or without her with them. Julia or Ashley, any thoughts on that?
You took my glory, because I was sitting there. She's gonna say tap rooting, because I feel like Becky just kind of hit it. She answers it all so perfectly. I don't feel like I need to say anything, but yeah, definitely tap rooting with that situation. I would say though, if she's super yellow, you have to be careful that she doesn't feel like you're stepping on top of her. But however, I'm a huge believer, guys. They're your team too, and I come from, if my uplines didn't share this, my life would look very different right now. So, and I think sharing stories, this is how I feel. You've got her as a customer, but you're still trying to convince her to work the business. Treat her like a potential. Send her diamond docs. Send her. And so you asked about yellow. When I think successful yellow, I think of Amber Volbada right off the bat. That's a successful yellow to me. But send her a story. Send her my SAP story. It's a SAP story, but it's a true story of how her life has changed, until she just clicks with her. So I don't really have anything extra. So what is tap rooting? Tap rooting is when, I'm going to say this in Julia's term, it's when you go beyond your level 1 and you invest in them. We were doing this before the whole term tap rooting ever existed. I say that's probably why I'm so successful. My upline, Andrea Mitchell, Roz, Ellen, they're great at tap rooting. They've invested in my team. My team knows them. I think Becky would attest to that. And that is something we want in this business, y'all, because our strength, especially if you're on this call, you should be somewhere under Roz. Your strength is that we have so many great leaders on this team. Let people tap root. Don't, like Becky said, you don't want to become, a lot of us who are successful are very red and we love our team, but let people come in and love your team and give them advice, because you're going to learn so many different things, and it's only going to benefit you. And I promise you, 5 years from now, you're going to want all that support. So.
And my 2 cents, I would just be careful. But I'm going to be real honest with you. I think the worst quality in a person you're trying to train is a lack of humility or a lack of teachability. And if you push too hard, she'll pull away altogether. But if you don't establish boundaries, and if you don't continue to reinforce, this is how we do things and this is how it works, that leg will be dead anyway. So tap rooting really is the answer. But also leading with love, but leading strong too, because you guys know what it takes to be successful. And so hopefully she'll fall in. I've got a girl right now who is incredibly influential and so smart and so driven, but she will not come under to save her life. And I find myself just going, good luck. Good luck. So I'm going to love her people, but she's starting to demonstrate that this is not someone at this time that I can really invest in as a leader.
Okay. Any more questions? We want to, Becky?
Sorry, I just wanted to get a little clarification. Ashley, you said if you, and I'm familiar with this, but if you give them your newbie more than a 1 page, you've given them too much information. So do you break that out as what I refer to as the 2, 7, 30, you give them what to do the first 48 hours, the first 7 days, and then the first 30 days? Is that what that looks like?
I think that's going to look different for everyone. If someone says, hey, I want to work this business, I think a 2-7-30 works great because it's very professional, it's very organized. But the majority of your people are already freaked out. So you come at them real strong and they'll they'll scatter, they'll spook. So I had this conversation with someone today who's coming from corporate America, and they're having a hard time understanding that this is a volunteer business. You can't just give people orders and expect them to go. You've got to learn to speak their language, got to figure out what motivates them. I know Emily Gibson uses a great test, the color code, that helps to distinguish what motivates people, not your traditional red, blue, green, yellow, but okay, are you motivated by power, intimacy, relationships? It helps you speak their language and helps you speak the language to the people that they're trying to recruit. Definitely accountability, but I'm not going to sit someone down and say, here's everything you need to know. I'm going to tag them in a post and we're going to walk through it every day. Like, hey, just want to make sure that you understand we have single welcome packs and double welcome packs, and here's the difference between the two. Does that make sense? You know?
Ashley, do you know what the name, I've heard Emily talk about that personality test, but do you know the name of it?
The color code.
Is that it, the color code? Thanks.
Okay, it's looking like our questions are winding down. If you've got another question, go ahead and ask. We want to leave time for anyone that needs some help. One quick last thought, guys, is that if you're struggling right now to find other people on your team that want this like you want it, I would really just encourage pursuing your people for the business and without the business. Like knowing what's going on in your people's lives, letting them know that you're praying for them, pursuing conversations that have nothing to do with Plexus, which can be really difficult, especially for those of you guys that have a really full life. Maybe you're working, maybe you're homeschooling, maybe you've just got a lot going on personally. There's stuff that doesn't give you the option to just have long, drawn out conversations throughout the day. But pursuing people both within your Plexus business and also pursuing people just to know what's going on with their life. These are the people that will hang with you. At the end of the day, they'll be with you because you pursued them relationally when they were working their business and when they weren't working their business. And it's really hard to do because this is the time going Ruby when you're getting such a singular focus and you're seeing the potential. But that's been crucial for my business, that my leaders know I love you when you're working hard. I love you when you've pieced out for a while. I'm here for you when you come back. My love and esteem for you doesn't waver based on how you work. But at the same time, when you're ready, let's run. Let's run. I want this success for you and your family. So that's huge. Just being faithful in your friendships. All of you guys, we'd love to hear either in the comments or on your team pages what you learned from this call. And if you have any questions, like follow-up questions, just remind us because we might forget certain things you asked us to do. Julia, do you want to close out the call?
I thought that was wonderful. You're just a little speech. See, I'm just a Becky Page fan, so I'm like, bravo. But no, y'all, thank y'all for coming tonight. I'm going to encourage you, because I'm going to encourage everyone. I hope to get all the recordings from everyone tonight, and I'm going to put them in a pretty post. And I would go and listen to every single one. Like, go watch How to Go Silver. Go watch the girls that did How to Go Gold. Go watch How to Be Emerald by July, because I promise you, you're going to pick up nuggets that's going to help you. Because let's be honest, it's going to be the same, just different. If that makes sense, for every stage. So make it kind of your goal before the end of the weekend to watch each of these training calls. Share them with your team specifically. Reach out to all your silver and say, hey, I don't know if you got on this call, but here it is. And I'm actually hearing that silver might not have gotten recorded. And if not, I will record you one sometime this weekend and bring Ashley and Becky to record it. But thank y'all for coming, and it's just been great. Bye, y'all.